BrianTheBlue, and welcome back to Current Calamities, where I take a break from the past to look forward to the future with the games of the present. Now, it's been a little while, and seeing as I don't have much to do at the moment, figured we should check up on an old friend. The Playdate, the little niche handheld that can and has given us a unique gaming experience, all thanks to its tiny, non-color or backlit screen, though it has amazing visuals and a crank. I got my Playdate around this time last year, and if you want to catch yourselves up, you can watch my initial impressions and near full review of Season 1 here, as I just want to go straight into what I've been doing since then in this video. So what have I been up to with the Playdate? Well, initially, a whole lot of nothing. After the video was made, I kept it in my pocket and may have played the 2 remaining games I missed out on and the ones I wanted to continue playing, but after a little while I decided to keep it safe by putting it on the shelf for the time being, which you may have noticed in a few videos, as I awaited to hear more news about Season 2 or other new games to arrive. Time passed and my focus shifted to different games, other videos, and life events taking up most of my time. But on March 7th, 2023, Playdate announced their online shop called Catalog. No surprise, but this is their official storefront for Playdate devs to get their games seen by the general crowd who own one. You can still sideload games that you find elsewhere on the World Wide Web, but I like the catalog option better as it encourages more original software as opposed to the clones or prototype ports you're bound to find more of online by, honestly, pretty talented folks. So I've been diving deep into the catalog as they have a drop every month it seems, and I'm trying to buy a new game's worth of stuff every chance I can. Right now I've got a lot of them, but I've narrowed it down to a few that I'm prepared to talk about with you. But I haven't been the only one that's been playing. You may not remember him from the last video, but I'm bringing back my cousin, the Inkfuse Gamer, yeah!
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing good, cuz. How's been your Playdate experience?
You said nothing about being on a Playdate in this video. Oh, the Playdate! It's been good.
The Playdate, a small yellow square with a questionable appendage. This little thing tends to go with me everywhere. I use it while waiting in line at conventions for autographs, while walking around mostly empty parking structures, and even in the bathroom.
Honey, stop cranking.
But what do you do with the Playdate?
You play games.
For me, this little piss-colored brick has become a haven for quick, arcade-style games that I can play whenever a spare moment comes upon me. Which as a new stay-at-home dad, doesn't happen often! I've had a lot of fun with the Season 1 games that came with this thing, but since we decided to look at the sideloaded and catalog games, let's rant about those.
That's right, cuz, and I figured I would get ourselves started by playing a game that I thought would have been in Season 2, if there was ever one coming about. First up, we have Direct Drive. I remember seeing this game in one of Panic's earlier videos when the system was coming soon. It was one of the first games to come out for the catalog, so I obviously snagged that one as I wanted to see what it was like. And I don't think I found a better use for the crank yet. You're the new guy at the record company, and your task is to make the stars of the label look good by cranking the patented Vectrola like a gramophone and keeping the tune at the right tempo of the performers. A fairly simple concept, and one that works really well considering the control scheme and the time frame of the game itself. It's also not an easy run-of-the-mill rhythm game. It can be a bit difficult for you have to crank pretty fast at times, and you might have to listen to some questionable ditties. Am what I am. And they say originality is going out the window. Over time, they try to throw you off with other distractions, and they even got motion controls in there, which got me to stop, but I was still happy to play it. Not a bad first impression for me. Now I just want to go listen to some classic vinyl downstairs.
Wow, that's pretty cool, but let's talk about what all of these games have in common. Violence.
In OneBit Arena, players run around like a dollar store Shovel Knight enemy, killing enemies and avoiding being hit, just like in real life. Or Smash TV and other twin-stick shooters, whichever you prefer. This is a simple beat my high score game, as all my examples are, but this is the type of game I grew up with, so it's kind of nostalgic. It also reminds me how little old games had as far as graphics. Suspension of disbelief only goes so far. Speaking of suspension of disbelief, how many times do you think you could lose a spaceship? Once? Twice? Well, in OneBit Jetpack, that's what's happened. The most inept and violent Astro Twat has damaged and lost their space ride, so they fly around murdering the local flora and fauna while finding said rocket parts and fuel to fly to the next murder planet. Again, high score type, but fun for the seconds I'm allowed to game.
Being a dad must eat a lot of your time.
Yes, it does.
And you also ate some of my time because you reviewed 2 games.
Yes, I did.
Well, I'm going to return the favor and look at 2 of my favorite puzzle games.
Yes, you may.
This one I really got into when I first got it, Word Trip, an insanely simple puzzler but also insanely difficult to master. At least I think so. Now you have 2 words, and what you're trying to do is come up with another 4-letter word with the 8 letters provided by the 2 other words, eventually leading you to spell the bottom word, which in turn will give you another word for a whole new challenge and journey on the roadmap in the background. Word. Easy to get, but it can be so hard to come up with another word that I might force myself to pass and either get disappointed by my lapse in spelling or make me want to get out my Scrabble book. I generally play on free play as all other modes have a timer associated with them and I can barely get anywhere with all the time in the world, so I'll just stick with free play for now until I feel confident enough in my abilities, or if I think I can get lucky, and if you have better luck than me, or know more words than my brain does, giving this a try wouldn't be a bad shout. Would recommend. Now the other puzzler I have in mind is perhaps my favorite puzzler, or I would even go as far as saying my favorite game on the Playdate, Generations. And the name of the game says it all when you get down to it. A match 3 type game where you have to match up 3 or more tiles from the same one of 6 generations, which includes stork, toddler, child, adolescent, middle age, and elderly. You'll be shown what will be coming next like in Tetris or other good puzzlers, and if you manage to rack up a good combo of generations, you'll earn a spare piece that could come in handy if you're in a tricky situation later. I've managed to get good at this. Actually, the footage you're watching now is of my best game that I've played to date. My strategy thus far has been to try and keep things close to the corners and not overflow the whole playfield with generations upon generations with not a tile to connect them. I know those storks can be a pain in the ass when they want to be, but if you can, plan ahead as best you can, and you do have the option to go back if you don't like where you placed a tile, but if they connect, then you're committed after that. Honestly, this is by far one of the best games I purchased from the catalog. Should be on top of anybody's Playdate wish list. It's just that good. Probably better than whatever this next game is. I never heard of it. What is that, cuz?
What is Bomber Panda, you ask? It's just like every other Bomb Man game, but this time they put the Robot Master into a panda suit. What? What do you mean the whole series isn't Bomb Man? You walk around, place explosives, murk enemies, and try not to get your bamboo blown off. Very simple game complex that it's still being used today, this time with furry undertones. A real bang with the youngins these days.
Youngins?
Yes, you're young. Just because you're 6 foot goddamn and tower over me does not make you older than me.
Well, you know what us youngins like these days?
Video games?
Graphics. Next up I have GravitreX, a game notable for its graphics and gameplay. I say graphics because they managed to squeeze in an FMV-like cutscene in here, so I'm just losing my mind that this system was capable of such. The game itself reminds me of my favorite indie arcade game GravitreX, but instead of going from point A to point B, you're tasked with delivering crates scattered about levels back to where you spawn, while avoiding many hazards and obstacles that'll be in your way. They figured out the control scheme real well as you use the crank to steer and pressing up for thrust. It's satisfying, but can also be a hurdle in itself when you're trying to go fast. There are other side objectives to complete, like using X amount of fuel or completing the level in X amount of time, and this is the kind of game to warrant such things with how it plays with gravity and the varying challenge you will come across over time. Still have a long ways to go, but I'm enjoying this ride thus far.
That's funny, I've been playing a spaceship type game too.
Yeah,
Except mine's more violent.
of course. Tattoos.
What are you talking about? I'm wholesome. I've got Cheshire Cat right here.
Another blast from my past, even if I'm terrible at them, is schmoops. Schmeeps? Shmups. Shoot 'em ups. And Gun Trails is most definitely that. Fly around, murk enemies, and try not to get destroyed by oversized bullets flying at your face. This one can be fun in bursts, but that's if you have a minute or two for the game to load. To load? I didn't realize a game could be so big on here it would need to load. What is it loading? The death of my player character after its ship's been shot out from under it like Porkins above the Death Star?
That's a deep cut.
Last but not least, we have Grand Tour Legends, another one of those games I remember seeing during those early previews, and it certainly commands your attention because it looks like a graphical tour de force, a cyclist racing game. Reminds me of the game mode in Wii Sports Resort, where you have to pass as many cyclists as you can within 3 laps. The crank is how you pedal, and it'll also affect your stamina, so you have to balance your speed with your well-being if you want to place well in the race. It plays well, but I'd say its strongest point is its graphical showcase, as the tracks are shown as a third-dimensional world as you ride on rails. I also love how the animation for your cyclists is fluid to perfection. A lot to like about this game, just need more time with it to figure out how to get the coveted first place spot.
Well, that's it for me, but cousin, your last game you picked? Oh, I just got it recently, but I haven't touched it yet. I've been dying to play it. Cousin?
Brains.
Finally, we arrived to one of my favorite side-loaded games, Necro Crisis. I love zombies still to this day, and I don't care how dead they are in the media, so when I saw this game, I immediately loaded it. Thinking it to be like House of the Dead, Necro Crisis is more like a gallery shooter akin to the T2 arcade cabinet and others popular in the 90s. Now, if you hadn't noticed till now, this is the only game I've mentioned where I get to manhandle the entirety of this console, including its little crank. And in there lies the problem I have. My giant ape hands are too big to hold this while using the D-pad to move the cursor while cranking bullets in the heads of undeads.
Let's see, what other games have I been playing lately? Possessions, which is kind of spooky. Woo! Poltergeist, another woo! Life's Too Short is very true, and also woo! And then my favorite, especially when you're older, Super Corporate Tax Evader.
Oh, yes, indeed. We all need that. I've been playing some weird and interesting games like Stars of the Screen and Qube. They've actually been pretty fun. I gravitate towards those. I'm also into more puzzlers like Squish and Bubble Collect. Those have been really fun.
You are puzzling, so that makes
Thank
sense.
you, cuz. And I just got Greed the other day. I've been eager to learn that. It's just one of those classic board type games, but without the violence.
We could be here all day talking about the games we've played, but we've got other stuff we gotta do. More games are in my future, and lest we forget, my cousin has a kid to look after, but I've been having a fun time playing games on the Playdate. So many good ones on offer, and I've settled comfortably into finding my favorites. This investment, if you want to call it that, has personally paid off for me. I'm one of the handful that get to have this unique experience, and I'm looking forward to what comes next. Hopefully the stereo dock, the spot I have reserved at my desk for it, still sits empty and I want it.
So, cousin, I'll ask again. Are you happy with your investment in the Playdate?
Of course I am. It's better than investing in the stock market right now.
Or avoiding taxes?
Would I recommend the Playdate? Yes. It's a unique piece of kit that hasn't been done before, and while gimmicky, it's still a better thing in your pocket than a handful of rocks. Thank you, Brian, for allowing me to invade this review. Now I have to go change a dirty diaper.
He's gone. So with all that being said, what's my overall opinion?
When I finally got my Playdate in the mail around this time last year, I was so excited to try out the first season of games, the crank, and everything else that would come in the future. 1 year later, the excitement is still there, but now it's focused all on the games that have come along since. The catalog has been a fantastic addition as a way to get new and original games to the community at large. I've played a good amount already, and the 10 me and my cousin showed you only scratched the surface. There are so many titles waiting to be discovered on the storefront, and so many more to come, including the Lucas Pope game that'll finally be coming soon. Can't wait. Of course, I've seen some peeps complain about waiting for things like announcements on the next season or when their group is getting the system. But we all have to remember that Panic is still a small company compared to the big three, so patience is pretty much necessary, and if you give them the time, they'll deliver in turn, plus you'll be getting a more complete package too. I have no idea if they're going to do another season at this point, as these near monthly drops are doing the job just fine. Probably makes everyone more money anyway, but I'm still enjoying the Playdate for all it's worth, and I couldn't recommend this enough to anybody who has any interest in niche gaming items like this. I wonder if 2-player will become a thing soon. That's what's been severely lacking. Multiplayer would be something else on this thing, but I wonder what would be needed to accomplish this. May have to get into the SDK myself to figure it out. Or the pulp, I'm not that smart. So what do you think? Do you agree with me, or have your own thoughts? Let me know by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, like the video with those thumbs up. If you think anyone else would like this vid, share it around. And if you want to see more of me, this show, and others, hit the subscribe button. I'm BrianTheBlue, thanks for watching. I'm going back to the past, and until next time, I'll see you in the future.